more on this, I'm now joined from London by Nazanin Ansari, an Iranian journalist, the editor of Kayhan Life. Hello, thank you very much indeed for being with us. First of all, if you could talk us through the impact of these sanctions in Iran.
Well, the situation in Iran has been very dire, the economic situation, the social situation. And part of it has to do with sanction, but a big part of it, the majority has to do with the inefficiency of the central government to be able not only to set priorities, but also to be able to deliver on its promises. Mr. Rouhani got elected a second time based on certain promises of more freedoms, more transparency. He has been trying to do it, but the problem is the system of the Islamic Republic that is unable to open itself and to revise itself without falling apart. And at the end of the day, what matters for, the politicians, the elite, the political elite of the Islamic Republic, is the survival of the regime.
So just to be clear, what are you saying? That the regime deserves these sanctions?
No, not at all. The people do not deserve these sanctions, but it is the government that has not had its priorities properly set. The problem of not having enough money within enough currency or inside Iran has some to do with sanctions, but a big majority of it is policies that have not been implemented or the lack of transparency of governance. So these are fundamental infrastructural problems that the Iranian government has to deal with. But it cannot really resolve these crises. And there are many, economy is one. It cannot really resolve this crisis without actually revising its priorities, specifically within the foreign policy. It's reliant. Yes, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, if we focus, though, specifically on the sanctions and the reaction we've been getting from Iran, which is that we'll be breaking the sanctions anyway. What do you make of that reaction, then, this defiance in the face of the US?
Well, the defiance in the face of US is actually being helped by some of the EU foreign policy, specifically with, after JCPOA. The EU has had a one-dimensional approach to Iran, and that is about keeping JCPOA, the nuclear agreement between EU, the United States, and Iran in place. The United States is out of JCPOA, but the EU wants to maintain this deal, even though it knows that it cannot really maintain it for much longer. It has taken some symbolic actions insofar as helping and supporting the Iranian government. In particular, in August, it approved a 50 million euro package, and as part of the first tranche, it transferred 18 million euros. Now, part of this 18 million euros is dedicated to environment. Now, this is at a time that we know there are over nine environmentalists that are in jail, and these were the environmentalists who were working with the UN. And so the EU comes, they are arrested in Iran, and EU, what it does next is in August, it approves 8 million euros, part of it going to the environmental projects in Iran. Who will be running those projects? No one knows. Now, as far as a second step that it has taken is the creating a special purpose vehicle. Now, as we know, EU is very slow in not only coming up and negotiating, but creating packages. So in September, it announced this special purpose vehicle purpose, but today we understand that it is not there. So EU's policy towards Iran from one side is paralyzed because it's a one-dimensional policy to do with only nuclear agreement. And from the other side, we see from December 2017 onwards in Iran, people out on the streets, women with their headscarves movement, workers, bankers, pensioners who've lost all their pensions, not because of sanctions, but because of the inefficiency of the governing system. Now, they have been out on the streets. They have been demanding, but EU has not actually had issued one statement in support towards the people of Iran in support of their grievances. So it has only centered its approach to Iran on the Iranian government, on the administration of Mr. Rouhani, hoping that Mr. Rouhani can survive internal politics. Mm-hmm. So EU has a lot. Please go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I just have to leave it there because we're running out of time. Thank you very much, though, for your time and your analysis. Nazanin Ansari joining us there from London.